traveling. He's traveling with the team. Wolo is on the road right now, so I will be filling in for him today. I'm all with my good friend, because Landon and Friends has to have at least one friend, and that's Darian Newsom for myself.
Friend to the end. Heidi ho, ha,
yes,
ha,
friend to the very end. But we will be talking with Andy Schiffman and Jonah, so I will have two more friends joining us today. We'll talk a lot of NBA news with Andy Schiffman, and then Jonah, who kind of has his feet in just everything Memphis sports related. We'll talk just everything with him. Grizzlies, Tiger basketball, talk about some updates on Tiger football, kind of get to him with something that we mentioned last week on some things that Charles Huff said and what we could expect to see coming out from this team next year. But last night, Tiger basketball came up short against North Texas. They started out hot, an 8-0 run, but that was kind of the theme of the night. It would be the Tigers would get on a run, and then North Texas would get on a run and close the gap and take the lead, and then the Tigers would get back on a run. So a lot of back and forth, vice versa, all that kind of stuff going on. And the Tigers went into the half only down by one, but then in the second half is where this team tried to come alive. Again, Sincere Parker comes out of the gate, comes out of the bench, totaling 20 points last night. I think he hit 18, 16 of those came in the second half. So he's definitely been somebody that has been keeping the Tigers basketball team in these games. The guy who's been going out there performing well, night in, night out, doing extremely well. But even in his effort, it ultimately was not enough, and that was one of the problems of this game. And there was a lot of problems with this game, but I would say the biggest one that I noticed watching through, going back, seeing the highlights of the game, was the differentials in how many fouls were called in this game. I mean, you look at the stat line, you look at the numbers. Last night, the Tigers only went to the free throw line 15 times. Now they made 13 of those free throws, which is a really good percentage, but you look at that on the other side. North Texas went to the free throw line 41 times and made 31 of them. David Terrell, now this was definitely towards the end of the game where it was a lot of more fouling, trying to slow down their offense, a lot of stat padding to happen there, but David Terrell went to the line 10 times, making 8 of those. Sincere was the only closest Tiger that even made it close to that. He went to the free throw line 6 times, made all 6 of them, which is really good. That's what you want to see from any time that you got a guy, especially like Sincere Parker, going up to the line. You want to see him make those shots. But it seemed last night from me watching it, and Darian, I don't know if you saw something different, but it felt like every time that the ball was taken down the court, that the whistle was being blown to some degree. It was the Tigers would drive down, whistle blown. North Texas would drive down, whistle would be blown. The refs were really heavy on the whistles last night. It seemed like there was just a lot of fouls being called, and it's not so much that North Texas really offensively won this game. I think it was more so that the Tigers just lost this game. You look at the numbers from last night. North Texas shot 21 from 47 in the field, 45% on their shooting. They only went 20% from three-pointers, only making 3 of them. The Tigers, on the other side, made 25 of 58 shots, going for 43%, 6 for 19 on three-pointers at 32%, but the big differential was the free throws, how it just buried that game. Anytime you give a team 41 attempts at the free throw line and they're dropping 31 of those, I mean, especially in that second half, I believe, how many points did they score in that second half? It was
37-43, Green.
37-43. I mean, 31 of those points came from free throws and from those fouls. And I mean, as you watch that game, the Tigers have been, it's been a roller coaster of a ride for this team. I mean, they had a good win against UAB, a dominant win over Charlotte, and so you're thinking, all right, they got a little bit of momentum, they're getting something figured out. And then last night, I mean, Penny even said his thoughts of the game, just 3 of them, was that the bigs need to be stronger and tougher, how this loss hurts this team, and plainly put that the Tigers last night just seemingly didn't have any fight left in them. Doug McDaniel also said after the game that he has been underperforming and he feels like he let his team down, and he himself in last night's game, he went 3 for 10 in shots, only came away with 6 points, and from a starter who, his reputation has been, he's been that explosive guy.
Leads the team in scoring.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he's the guy that's supposed to go out there and drive the ball down the court, make those easy layups. But for him to only come away with 6 points in a game like that, yeah, there's some responsibility there that needs to be taken. I think is very apt that he definitely underperformed. He definitely did let down the team, but it wasn't just him. It was kind of a collective effort. This wasn't a really good performance that you saw from the Tiger team last night. It wasn't like they went out there and dominated like you might have expected them to. Being favored on the road, you think, all right, we're going to carry that momentum into the next game, but ultimately they fall short. Lots of fouls, lots of just from me, what I witnessed, it just seemed like clumsy play out there. It didn't really seem like they were playing tight basketball. Didn't seem like they were really even playing as a team. It just felt like a bunch of individuals going out there trying to do what they wanted to do, and then nothing really came together. I don't know. What did you see from that game?
Well, my friend, your eyes do not deceive you. Let me tell you that first. And secondly, you are correct. I mean, this is one of, I believe, 7 or 8 teams where the entire roster was turned over. And listen to the statement you just made. It's like, hey, we all just came to play basketball 6 months ago, and it shows. So I got some numbers in front of me. Again, your eyes don't deceive you. What you saw yesterday was a little bit exaggerated as far as what the numbers on the season tell you. But the numbers on the season tells you that the opponents outshoot the Tigers on the free throw line. I have it right here in front of me. The opponents shoot 17 free throws a game. The Tigers shoot a woefully 14 a game. Yeah. So the fact that a team outshot them from the free throw line, that's been happening all season. Your average is your average by now. The team is 12-12, correct? 12-12, 7-5 in conference. Right now, in the great words of Denny Green, you're a football guy. You are what your numbers say you are. You just are. And
stats don't lie.
The stats don't lie. I saw a few, speaking of the creativity or the X's and O's of the game. Now, I did see a few plays. One of the plays was a full court inbound play where Curtis Givens got it. Ball was inbounded, took it full court through an alley-oop. Great X and O type of play. And then on the other end, inbound under the goal, Thetford set a screen and then got a screen, got to the 3-point line in the corner. Great X and O. You don't see enough of that. No. That's really what stood out to me. I saw real plays being ran.
I did too.
Now, of course, they were by guys who have not played for 2 and 3 years together. Mm-hmm. But not par for the course, kind of strange, but your eyes weren't deceiving you, man. These numbers that I have in front of me say the Tigers are what they are. In the words of Jay Ham, we're mid-major, basically.
Yeah, very inconsistent. If you were to wrap this team up in one word, I would say it's very inconsistent. One night they can come out and look really, really good, and like you said, I saw some of those plays too.
Well, they look really good. It was like who put that? What was that?
It was like they came down the court, ran an offense, set up a screen, made the good. I mean, they looked really good, and then the next following plays, it was just, all right, well, let's just throw the playbook out the window. We made our 2 points, so now let's just, horse around and do whatever we want to do. But just
horsing around ain't good.
No, horsing around is not good, especially when your team mascot is the Tigers. But when it comes to a performance like that, you're 7-5 in the American. North Texas is sitting at 14-11, 5-7 in the American. I mean, this goes on to just add to the problems of what this conference is, the competition that you're playing, and it seems that the Tigers always want to play down to their competition. I mean, in no reason should Memphis have really lost this game, and like we said, it's almost like they shot themselves in the foot. They shot themselves in the foot by not going out there and sticking to what they've done well in these past 2 games, and now going on the road, really, really struggling in that performance, and so now the Tigers, as I mentioned,
it's not going to get easier, buddy.
No, it's not going to get
headed
easier.
To Utah. Headed to Utah. Say hey
State.
To Jaron Jackson for us while y'all out there.
This is going to be really, really tough. I think I don't think
you're lost for words.
I'm trying to see if there's a line yet for this game since the game is tomorrow. All I know right now is that Utah State is very, very heavily favored in this game. I don't see a line for it right now, but right now Utah State sits at 21-3, 10-1 at home. So that's a huge advantage. Right now, the Tigers are 2-7 in away games, which, if anything, points to the obvious. I think the Tigers could come out, they could fight, they could play to the best of their abilities, but this Utah State team is really, really good, and until proven otherwise, I don't see them losing this game whatsoever. But we'll see.
A Herculean effort is what it's going to take.
I was about to say, we'll see what kind of Tiger team steps onto the court against Utah State. Do they have a little bit more of a fire lit under them? Penny himself said that last night's game that they just did not have the fight within them. So hopefully some kind of fire is being lit up under them. Hopefully something is going to spark within this team to really do something to compete against this Utah State team, because that is going to be a
Before
really,
you move on,
really
I found your numbers, sir. Early results. Utah State 7.5 favorites right now. So
okay, honestly, not that bad. From what I was kind of expecting in my head, I thought it was going to be a double-digit type deal. So the fact that it's sitting at 7.5 right now, I think I can live with that. But for the time being, I say we switch to some happier news. Let's look at the Winter Olympics and Team USA right now. The USA men's hockey team got off to a really strong start yesterday as they win 5-1 over Latvia. The big name of the game was Brock Nelson, who had a pair of goals to help urge the team on. And the game started out a little bit rocky. There was 2 goals that were called back, so it was a little bit crazy. But right now, if you're watching Team USA hockey, whether it's the women's or the men, you know what? I'm not going to say it.
Don't say it.
I
don't say it. Are you saying go to bus?
No.
Okay, because I've been hearing a lot of that.
No. I would not say that. And I'm glad you mentioned that too, because overall, Team USA has been racking up medals. They are sitting at 14 right now. 7 of those are silver medals right now. But when you look at it, that's 7 times that America has deemed themselves the second best at these competitions. Now, Dave and I talked a little bit about this yesterday with the ice dancing. I don't know if you watched any of the ice dancing.
I put ice dancing on television for a living, sir. It's on Action News 5.
Oh, well, very nice. There you go.
I'm a part of Olympic coverage, dude.
Yeah,
I should get a gold medal.
You do get a gold medal. You get all my gold medals, and hopefully these don't break from your excitement of jumping up and down. But if it did, we would strive really, really hard to replace it for you. But yes, I think Team USA is doing well in all their competitions. Like I said, they're walking away with 7 silver medals right now. But both the women's and men's hockey teams look really, really good right now. I believe the women's hockey, I should have pulled up their schedule. Women's hockey most recent win was against Canada, where they won 5-0, I believe. Which, if you looked at all their games, they've been winning by a score of 5-0, 5-0, 4-1, whatever it looks like.
Ladies play tonight versus Italy, good sir. Not tonight. I'm sorry. Right. At 2 p.m.
2 p.m. All right. Well, that'll be dancing into sports time area. So maybe. And
I got your results too. Did you want those ladies' results? I got them.
Go for it.
All right. First game 5-1. The rest of the games 5-0 versus Finland, the Swedens, and Canadians.
Yes. So very, very good outing. I know that the men's hockey team plays tomorrow, Saturday, for those of you who don't know. And as Darian actually reminded me, tomorrow is the Love Day. That's Valentine's Day, which the only thing that is really, really important about this is to note that next year the Super Bowl falls on Valentine's Day, February 14th, that Sunday. So if you're hearing this now, I would implore you, go ahead and make plans with your lady. Say, hey, Valentine's Day, I know it's supposed to be a special day. I know it's supposed to be us going out and doing stuff, but hey, the biggest
game, you should take her to LA.
The biggest game in the NFL, the Super Bowl is happening. So, babe, whatever it looks like, whatever we need to do, let's go to lunch or brunch that morning. But that whole evening has to be set aside for the Super Bowl.
As a married man, I can help you out with it. You just plan a trip to the Bay. Do you know where the Super Bowl is, good sir?
Ain't it in
LA. It's in LA.
SoFi Stadium?
Yes, it's SoFi. So therefore, you plan a trip. You plan a lovers trip all weekend. You get there Thursday night, good sir.
We'll start saving up for it now, unless you're like
then
Darian,
you do your
who's loaded with cash and can just go up to
I work
LA
with you,
anytime.
dog. You see our vehicles in the parking lot? Oh, come on, dude. But then look,
gonna rat us
you,
out
you,
like
you,
that.
you do your Friday and your Saturday, and you make her feel like the most wonderful Mrs. Schmidt that you can make her feel, possibly. And Sunday is all yours. Like, Sunday has to be all yours, right?
Yeah, it's got to be. But I'm just saying, go ahead and plan ahead. Do all your Valentine's stuff in the morning, middle of the day, and then leave the afternoon wide open for the Super Bowl. But while we're on that topic of the NFL has come to a close, and now we're looking into the offseason, free agency, what's going to happen in the draft. And right now, I've been hearing a lot of questions about what the Titans should be doing in this offseason. There's a lot of answers that a lot of questions that need to be addressed, like who do we need to pick up in free agency? Who are we targeting in this draft, which a lot of people have rated that this draft is not very good as compared to recent memory. It's not very top heavy. It's kind of evened out all the way through. So for the Titans to have their pick at number 4, obviously I think what needs to be addressed first and foremost is wide receiver, some kind of defensive end, edge rusher, something like that. And we need cornerbacks. So when it comes to questions like this, we do have some guys on the team that a lot of people have been questioning. Do we keep them? Do we re-sign them, or do we cut them and let them go? So I'm gonna have Darian real quick serve as our professional NFL analysis, like he really is in real life. That's his other job away from doing Action News 5 and being a producer and being a co-host. The guy is not necessarily up to Dustin Starr's level on jobs that he has, but he's making his way up there. So first, we'll start with the Titans. 2 names that I have for you on this team of should they cut him or should they bring him back for another year. Let's start with this guy, L'Jarius Sneed, cornerback. Do we cut or do we keep L'Jarius Sneed on the Titans?
Is he a free agent?
No, I believe.
If he's not a free agent, I keep him. I don't press the issue with Sneed because when you're in a rebuild. You're in the middle of a rebuild, so you're going to need some form of veteran leadership on that back level of the defense. So I say keep Sneed unless you're forced to move. Unless his number pushes you out, I think you keep him around.
So in March of 2024, and a lot of the names that I'm going to go through here in just a little bit, a lot of their contract extensions were signed in March of 2024. He signed a 4-year, $76.4 million contract with the Titans. The biggest issue that a lot of people have with L'Jarius Sneed is he's been injured a lot. He has missed a lot of games. I believe there was a stat that went out there last year of how he just now, and I believe, what was it? In a year of playing, I can't remember what it is, so I'm not going to give you false information. Let's just say he has not played a lot of football for the Tennessee Titans. And when he does go out there and he is playing, that he's not playing up to the caliber in which we would expect him to go out there and perform. So a lot of these questions are going to be whether it's freeing up cap space, which if you release L'Jarius Sneed, that frees up a lot more cap space, which honestly the Titans do not really need right now.
Yeah, in your world,
they
cap
lead
space,
they lead the league right now in most available cap space at $120 million. So you wouldn't necessarily cut him for the purpose of freeing up even more cap space. However, that's never going to hurt. It's the fact that L'Jarius Sneed has not been playing up to the level in which we would expect him to play at cornerback. But like you said, this is one of the biggest areas that the Titans need to address. You got rid of Roger McCreary, who was one of the best cornerbacks that the Titans had. He was young. He was a great talent out there. And we traded him away for basically a bag of chips, which is, in translation, 4th or 5th round pick, which we've been stacking up on those mid-round picks. Hopefully there's some names out there that we can capitalize on those things. So for me, I would say going forward, if there's nobody else in the free agency that you could pick up for a reasonable price, I say you kind of have to keep L'Jarius Sneed just as that veteran presence. But for me, if he's going to continue to be hurt, if he's going to continue to underperform, I say you let him go.
So this is the season to make a decision on him, correct?
I think so. I think so. So another name that's been thrown around a bunch is wide receiver Calvin Ridley. Do you keep him or do you let
100%
him go?
Calvin Ridley. You keep him. The reason being, he showed flashes last year. There were some good flashes surrounding he and Cam Ward. Now, the deal is, is Van Jefferson a solid number 2? You know, I mean a solid number 3. I think Eric Ayamore, am I saying it right?
I like A.O. Manor.
A.O. Manor. I think he is your number 1. That's who actually had the better of the season of all 3 of your wide receivers if we're just lumping them all together.
Yep.
But Ridley, I mean, he showed flashes when he went to Jacksonville. He showed flashes. So I guess that's where I'm stuck with him at. It's not really a cap number. Like you said, you guys have plenty of space, but he shows flashes of being what you expected when he was coming out of Alabama. So if you're not pressed to get rid of him, I think you just add to that wide receiver core.
Right now, Calvin Ridley in March signed a 4-year, $92 million contract with the Titans. 2 years ago with Will Levis, and Mason Rudolph, I'll include him as well, he had a 1,000-yard receiving season. Last year, there was a lot of concerns because he had a lot of wide open plays where he would drop the football. He was not doing very well, but then he started to get it, somewhat figured out and then ended up getting hurt. I think a lot of people think that Calvin Ridley deserves another chance. He is that veteran presence.
But you push him down the depth roster, though. Like you said,
I think
you need a new number 1 in the building.
If you looked at where the Titans shined last year, it was in the rookie play. Cam Ward started to figure it out as the season progressed. I mean, I was seeing now, of course, this is going to be heavy biased from the amount of Titan team pages that I follow on Instagram.
You have a shirt on.
I do, and it's really nice too. But they were mentioning the difference in how Cam Ward performed against the Seattle defense in comparison to how Drake May and the Patriots were performing against Seattle and their defense. Of how Cam Ward, I believe, had over 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. It was in that little strand down the stretch where Cam Ward was performing at that level, so he was figuring it out. Alec A.O. Manor is one of the top receivers, and he is going to be a go-to guy as the season progresses, as the years progress, with Cam Ward and Alec building that chemistry year after year. Chimere Dike was the breakout returner of the year and a great wideout for the Titans. He was also a rookie, both of them going into their sophomore year. Gunnar Helm at tight end showed really, really good flashes, and that's the other name that I've seen a lot of people look at and say, do we keep or do we let this guy go? In Chig Okonkwo. Chig Okonkwo, year after year, he's kind of just been there. He's kind of just been that guy he'll be there. I think last year against the Saints, he had one great play. That's about all that I really saw out of Chig Okonkwo this past year. He's not going to be your wow factor. He's not he's definitely not up to the level of Delaney Walker as far as tight end.
Of course not.
For Titans.
No.
He's nowhere near a list of
56 catches, 79 targets, 2 touchdowns. That's what you got.
I mean that's not what you want out of a tight end, especially in today's day and age with how tight ends have become such a huge part of the receiving core
of
offense.
I think you talked yourself. You talked me into it right now.
Yeah, so Gunnar Helm looked really, really good. Made a lot of great catches. I think he fits into the system really, really well. So I think of all 3 of these names, I think this next year is kind of a make or break for L'Jarius and Calvin. I think for Chig, he doesn't really fit anymore. I think you find him a new destination. You find him somewhere else to go, but we'll just have to see for that. Let's look a little bit beyond our horizons than just the Tennessee Titans. Justin Fields, he signed a 2-year, $40 million contract with the Jets. Do you keep or cut him from the Jets?
Unless you're taking Ty Simpson, which a lot of projections have Ty Simpson in the teens, so to speak. What else are you going to do?
I'll tell you right.
I mean, unless you're going to release him and you tell him you're going to get Kyler Murray or someone like that?
I'll tell you right now, I would not take Ty Simpson.
Okay, but I mean, when Ty Simpson had a clean pocket, dude, he was one of the top 3 QBs in college last year when the pocket was clean.
Well, if we've seen anything about young QBs on a bad team in the NFL, that's one of the last things you're going to get is a clean pocket.
Correct.
So
therefore, I wouldn't take Ty. I wouldn't take him that high. But like I said, those are your options. Are you going to take a swing on a Ty, or are you going to move on for a Kyler Murray or Tua Tagovailoa? What are you doing other than it? It's kind of like the Penny Hardaway question. Some people want to run Penn out, but what are you going to do? Who are you going to bring in?
Yeah.
Is Landon Schmidt coaching them next? Darian Newsom coaching them next? No. So if you don't have a great,
we all have a little bit of QB experience from our high school days, so maybe we could add, nothing to that, because that's an NFL level type thing. But it's an interesting question because that also just speaks to the state of where the Jets are at right now. They really don't have any options. They don't really have any.
And they sold all their weapons too. Breece Hall, they may as well sell him. While he's high right now.
Yeah. Well, I believe he's in free agency coming into.
Oh, is it good? Yeah, okay, it's time. I mean, it's time, dude.
And a lot of people have suggested that the Titans go after him with the connections with Robert Saleh when he was with the Jets. And Breece Hall is a good running back, but I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say that. Well, one, I would say running back, I don't think is a very high priority for the Titans right now. I think Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears are gonna get the job done. We get them a little bit more of a cleaner pocket, get them a little bit more involved in the run game. I mean, down the stretch too. Down the stretch last year for the Titans was actually a lot better than I think a lot of people give them credit for. Yes, they were still terrible.
You know what I didn't like down your stretch?
What?
Pollard shined at the beginning of the year. I don't know what happened to him at the end.
I think it was actually reversed. Tony Pollard down the stretch had multiple 100-plus yard games.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had it inverted.
Yeah, it was reversed. That's why I was saying I think the Titans near the end of the season looked way better than they did at the start. I mean, you had the absolute miracle with the hope and prayer against Arizona, and then from there, it was a miracle really that we got.
My point was I wanted to get a Pollard question off with you. So my bad. I knew it was kind of a split season. So that's your team. My bad. What do you do with him though? Like he's kind of light into.
So that's the thing. I think going forward, I think you got to split the load a little bit more between Tyjae and Tony. I think Tony carried a little bit too much of the weight at the start, and Tyjae just really didn't get any kind of momentum, didn't really get anything going. So we got to hit a break because there's just too much to talk about, and once again, we went way over. But just real quickly, I think from the biggest teams that you can see that need to make big moves in this offseason are teams who are in a lot of financial trouble. That's the Chiefs, who lead the league.
What are they going to do at QB?
I don't know, because right now I think you're going to see some contract restructuring with Chris Jones. I think you're going to have to, because right now the Chiefs are $54 million over in their cap space, so they need to make some room. They need to clear some guys. They're going to be releasing, so you might be looking at a lot of different moves coming from those guys. The next biggest teams are the Vikings. They're $40 million over. Brian Dacus' Cowboys are $29 million over. The Dolphins are $16 million over. So there's a lot of moves that are going to need to be made to get themselves financially right. But on the other side, we will be talking a lot of the NBA. A lot to talk about, not a lot of time to do it. So let's go ahead and get to a break. On the other side, Andy Schiffman right here on Wolo and Friends.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey everybody out there, Walker Taylor with Germantown and Collierville Commissary. Football season is upon us. Nothing better for your next tailgate party than a barbecue buffet spread provided by the Germantown or Collierville Commissary. Catering, self-serve or full, is a specialty of ours. No party too small, no party too large. You can check out our pricing and the items we feature at commissarybbq.com. Holidays will be upon us soon. At our Collierville location, we have a party room for 30 up to 100, perfect for family, business, or church functions. We also have a patio at the Collierville location, perfect in the fall for enjoying football and eating barbecue. Monday through Friday at the Collierville location, we also offer an all-you-can-eat buffet featuring barbecue pulled pork, ribs, fried chicken, and catfish. Each location also offers a $10.95 lunch special, a sandwich, a side, and a drink. Please come visit us at the original in Germantown by the railroad tracks or a new location in Collierville at Houston Levy and Poplar. And as always, go Tigers go.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. I wanted to take a minute and discuss advertising with you. There are so many websites that list the best service provider in your area. Even the BBB has an accredited list. You know the one thing they all have in common? A company like mine has to pay to get on that list. So that begs the question, can those lists be trusted? You know what can be trusted? History. We've been around for almost 30 years providing customers with the best service and the best products that we possibly can. So if you need a roof, siding, or gutters, give us a call. We'll come talk to you and let you decide for yourself whether or not we know what we're talking about. Five Ash Roof Services. Best products, best warranties, and in many cases, the best price. We're fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Rebel Nation, get the latest on everything Ole Miss sports with the Cannon Motors of Mississippi Rebel Yell Hotline. Join Rebel insiders Chuck Rounsville, Yancey Porter, and Gary Darby Monday nights at 6 as they break down the latest with the Rebels, along with even more insight from special guests. Rebel Yell Hotline, Mondays at 6 p.m. on WHBQ.
Stay up to date with everything going on in Ole Miss athletics with Rebel Yell Hotline every Monday night from 6 to 7 on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back into Wolo and Friends. Landon Schmidt filling in for Wolo as the Tigers are traveling all the way over to Utah State today. Got a big game for them coming down the stretch, but we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the NBA and not a lot of time to do it, so let's go ahead and bring in Andy Schiffman. Andy, kind of continuing our conversation from last week we know that the ending of the trade deadline has come and gone, and we've seen these guys in action. We've seen kind of how these players are playing out right now. I think it'd be safe to assume that Memphis is in a tank mode, kind of seeking ping pong balls, trying to get to getting more of those draft picks. What do you make of where the Grizzlies are at right now, and what are you seeing from them with the new additions that they acquired from the trade deadline?
Morning. Well, as always, appreciate you having me on, and I think it is pretty clear where their MO is at this point in the season, Landon. Like they're not trying to win. And It's funny when they signed the kid they had in the G League team, Lawson Lovering. I've had a number of teams reach out to me that, joking, saying that, there's only one reason they signed him. And it's pretty clear they're just trying to tank and get a good draft position. I think as they should, because it's always tricky when you're in limbo at the trade deadline and you have one or two directions to go and it's not very clear. And I do believe that with the understanding the Jaw's probably not a long-term fixture anymore in Memphis, and that definitely helped them move off of Jaren simultaneously while trying to move Ja, which obviously did not happen. But again, go into tank mode to acquire draft capital, which I think Zach did a great job of getting the 3 first-round picks for Jaren, and now trying to really capitalize on a great draft this summer, by the way, for them to try and move themselves up. I mean, if the Grizzlies can somehow finish with a top 5 to 8 draft pick, which I do think is a possibility if the proverbial ping pong balls bounce their way, so to speak, literally and figuratively, they will be able to nab a great talent for the future. I just would say if I'm a Grizzlies fan, right, I'm not looking at this team hoping they're going to just all of a sudden turn around and win this season. That's not how they're built. So I think it's a good opportunity to develop young guys. I've said it before, I do like Walter Clayton. I wouldn't get too attached to the other guys. This is more for the future.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So ideally, kind of looking ahead, let's say that being as optimistic as we are on the show, that the Grizzlies do get in a spot where they do get a really good draft pick, that ping pong balls do bounce their way. Who ideally would you like to see the Grizzlies go after in this upcoming draft that will really add to this team?
Well, look, I mean, they're in their 11th spot, so they have to do a lot worse to try and get up to the really top end of that draft, where you're talking about an A.J. Devanster from BYU, Darren Peterson from Kansas, who could score the ball every single which way, Kingston Fleming's an elite-level point guard from Houston. So for me, kind of factoring in a future without Ja, if the Grizzlies could manage to get into that top 5 and put themselves in a position to draft a guy like Kingston Fleming, who a lot of people may not know about, he's the starting elite-level young point guard for Houston, which Tiger fans are obviously aware of, coached by Kellen Sampson, who's done a great job there, especially developing guards. I think that would be an absolute home run. The kid is a stud. So for me, positionally, talking about what's going to be most beneficial for the roster moving forward, I'd love to see them take a guy like that. I think it'd be a great pick. But really the top part of the draft is pretty heavy with talent, more so than in years past. But I think for them to try and position themselves to get an elite level star like that, one of those three guys I mentioned, they'd really have to try and get into the top 3 or 4 to solidify it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. I've been hearing so many reports of how this year's draft class is incredible when it comes to guys coming out of college. You've mentioned Ja, and eventually he will come back. He'll recover from his injury. And when he does, how do you expect the rest of the season to go with the Grizzlies and trying to get Ja back into the mix with this team?
It's a really tricky question. It's tricky to kind of map out just because, again, they're not going to be really playing for anything, so to speak, where people get excited about a chance to go out and compete for Western Conference Finals or an NBA Finals berth. That's just not how this team is right now. So exactly your point, like, how are you utilizing Ja? And that's on, obviously, the coaches there and Isolo, but, like, I think there's huge value in trying to showcase him to increase his trade value, because we talked about it last week, right? I don't really know that there was a value on the trade market for Ja that Zach Kleiman would have hoped for and would have wanted. Mm-hmm. And I've heard from a number of teams that there were teams that were interested in Ja, but they wanted the Grizzlies to incentivize them to take him with a draft pick, which is pretty unheard of for an elite level talent like Ja, but that's just where the market is. So if he can go out there these last couple of months of the season and really play consistently well, I don't think for me it's necessarily about winning or losing, just to show people who Ja is, which again, he's definitely done that throughout the course of his career, but there's a lot of recency bias. So if you finish the season playing consistently well and you're healthy and teams go into the summer seeing that, I think that'll really increase his value, which is what Zach wants. I just don't see any way where, okay, you know what, he played great for us these last 2 months of the season, things going great, let's just keep him long term and do an extension. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I agree with you too. And it's kind of what Darian and I were talking about with you last week. Of kind of when he comes back, it's kind of that prove it period for Ja, where he needs to go out there and show what he's made of and increase that capital and try to really make a name for himself. Because I agree, I think going forward, it's evident that the Grizzlies are going to be moving in a different direction. Kind of backtracking a little bit, asking about Darren Peterson and how he's been playing right now in college basketball. How do you view how the front offices are viewing Darren Peterson's quote-unquote cramping issues that he seems to be having on the sidelines?
Yeah, there's a lot of mystery surrounding Darren Peterson. He's the all-star freshman at Kansas that has been held out of a lot of games due to quote-unquote injuries. I think it was one of the games I was watching fairly recently, maybe in the BYU game. It was a pretty close game, and he just didn't play after the first part of the second half. Mm-hmm. And I've heard there's a lot of people behind the scenes, namely his agent, kind of pulling the strings there on the staff, basically dictating when he plays, when he doesn't play, which, again, I think is absurd. I would never do that as an agent.
Right.
I would not meddle in the success of a team and what the coach's decisions ultimately are regarding playing time with their star player. So I don't think that necessarily will hurt his draft stock because he's done such a great job when he has played. I think from a physical standpoint, for sure, you have to go in and show that you're healthy. I don't necessarily know whatever ailments he's dealing with, if they're phantom injuries or not, will really impinge on his draft status, because there's no question he's a top 3 NBA draft talent. If teams feel good about the health, no matter all this other stuff going on behind the scenes, I still think he's going to end up being an elite level talent, a great future NBA player. We've seen this time and time again. When you get these superstars coming into college for a year, there's so many cooks in the kitchen. There's so many people behind the scenes kind of dictating what happens, pulling the strings, especially now with the revenue share and NIL world that we live in and money's involved. These kids are professionals, and it's not that far off from kind of what you see in the NBA, where star players are rested even though they're not really injured for whatever reason. And so I think Darren for sure has done enough this season to warrant a top 3 pick, which he will be. I don't necessarily know if NBA teams, though, are faulting Darren for reasons he's not playing or this and that. Again, if they feel good about his medical history going into the summer and the draft, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think he's definitely proved and shown his spot as one of the top guys. I mean, going into that game, you mentioned the Kansas BYU game. I mean, the big story surrounding that was the projected number 1 draft pick versus the number 2 draft pick. So I think it's pretty set in stone where it comes to there. I know we've talked a lot about in the NBA about how these teams are definitely tanking, definitely already thinking about the postseason, even though we haven't even reached the All-Star break yet.
Right.
And 2 of those teams that were just recently fined, the Jazz and the Pacers, who were fined for intentionally sitting players. The Jazz were fined $500,000 and the Pacers fined $1,000. Clearly, a lot of teams tanking. I guess some teams are making it more evident than other teams. What do you make of the decision to fine these teams?
Look, I mean, we talked about this before. This is the new player protocol that the NBA has mandated this season. And so they're following through on that. I think they're referencing the Jazz-Indiana game from earlier this month.
Yeah.
And Utah ultimately won. But look, those are 2 teams that are not trying to win. And I've had parents of players on these teams ask me, like, well, what is tanking? And why are they coaching this way? How are they coaching to lose if they're not trying to win? And how are they doing that trying to get a top draft pick? And it's exactly that. Like you said, rest your stars, maybe in a tight game, throw out developmental players versus your regular rotational players. And so, again, I think that's more permissible than just flat-out resting stars with no real reason behind it, which you saw in that game. So I do think it is good for the game of basketball if there's no justification as to why a player is not playing. And we've talked about it, right? Like, if you're a fan of the Utah Jazz and this is the only time they're coming to Indiana, because it's a Western Conference team, rather, going to the Eastern Conference, and you don't get to see the player you want to go see, that does rub people the wrong way. And I think the NBA has done a good job of prioritizing fan sentiment in that regard. And this is just, look, they're putting the hammer down. They are following through on this player protocol, and other teams will take note. So I do think it's good for the game. And as a player agent, I don't necessarily know if it's the best thing, if these players just want to rest, but look, at the end of the day, this is an 82-game NBA season. That's what these guys signed up for. Mm-hmm. The schedule is what it is. So I would say kudos to the NBA for following through. Otherwise, you could see a lot more of this moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with you, and a great point to see how this is literally one of the rules in place, and how the NBA is holding on to their word and really enforcing this. So that's I think that's a really important aspect to take into consideration with this. Andy, if you will go back with me to the very first week, the very first game of the NBA, and that was when everyone was going nuts over Victor Wembanyama's first game performance, where everybody was calling and claiming, hey, this is our case in point, MVP right here, right now. I mean, the guy looked incredible. Now you fast forward to where we're at in the season, and Wemby is still playing really, really good. Do you think that MVP call is still right there for Wemby? Is he still in the race, or is there other people in the NBA right now that are far better candidates for the MVP race?
I think he is still right there. I think the Spurs have overachieved so far this season from where the general NBA community thought they'd be. Now, I think everyone thought they would improve. I think everyone thought they'd be a solid top 6 team or so in the West. They've done a great job in the draft, led by Wemby. But look, they're number 2 in the West. They're 38-16. Just 2 nights ago or so, 2 games ago rather, Wemby dropped 40 at this point in the season. And yes, he was injured for a little bit of time, but I absolutely put him heavily in the mix for an MVP candidate, along the likes of potentially a Jaylen Brown. I think at the end of the day, Jokic and SGA will still be there. Mm-hmm. I think Luka could be talked about as the MVP as well.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to sit there at this point and put any one of those guys further ahead of Wemby. You could make an argument for any of them, but I think it's so close. I think it's neck and neck. So, look, I mean, it's hard to argue against it. I think he's going to be one of the final MVP candidates we'll see, and I would not be surprised at all to see him get MVP. I think it's just deserved. I'm excited to watch him with this weekend with the World and them and Luka playing against the other 2 U.S. teams. So it's just another feather in his cap. But I absolutely think, look, whether it's this year or in the future, Wemby will be MVP of this league. I think we all can agree on that.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's case in point.
The church says amen to that.
Yeah, the church says amen.
Yeah.
I mean, a dude that big making plays that he's making, one should just not be human at all. So
and
I
still
think,
so young. It's uncanny. What
yeah.
he's doing.
So the fact that he's doing that on a game to game basis is really incredible. Just a couple more things for you, Andy. I wish we just had a week to talk about the NBA because that's really what we need to talk about all the things going on in the NBA. But
Sure.
right now, the Thunder came out and they started out in nearly unstoppable fashion. And I'm not saying that there's any room for us to be freaking out or concerning about what's going on with the Thunder. But in their last 8 games, they've split. They've got 4 losses, 4 wins. But right now, they're still sitting at a 42-14 record, which is incredible, no matter how you draw it up in the NBA. But is there any reason to concern about the Thunder showing that they are indeed human in the NBA?
I wouldn't be too concerned. Look, you haven't had your All-Star in SGA the last 10
Right.
days, right?
Yep.
And that last one last night against Milwaukee, I mean, I've watched a lot of Milwaukee players on the team, Pete Nance, Bobby Portis, who'll be in the three-point contest tomorrow night. Like, they can get hot and surprise some people, even without Giannis. And they did that last night in Oklahoma City, despite them trying to come back and chip away at their massive lead. And it was pretty incredible. They ended up winning by 17 points. And so I think when you see games like that, if you're a Thunder fan, you do scratch your head and you do panic a little bit. But at the end of the day, they're still the first team in the West. At the end of the day, they're going to be there in the playoffs. And you talk about games like this without your superstar here and there throughout the month of February. That's a completely different conversation than a 7-game series in April, May, and June into the playoffs. They've proven that they can be successful in those settings. So, look, I'm not saying they're going to march all the way undefeated to the NBA Finals this year and just dominate like they did last year. I do think it will be very competitive with the likes of the Pistons. I'm excited to see kind of where the Cavs go moving forward after some of the deals they did. I think Boston is really surprising a lot of people. Depending on the Knicks, we'll see what happens there. So there are a lot of other teams, and you can't discount the Nuggets, obviously, that could be there competing with them for the playoffs and making it a really tough road. But again, that's playoff basketball.
Yeah.
So I'm not really so much concerned about where they finish the rest of this year. They will continue to lose games. They probably should have no business losing. But I think all eyes needs to be on where they are health-wise once you get into the playoffs. And it's a brand-new season at that point.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad you mentioned too of the team that's right behind the Thunder is the Nuggets, who are sitting at 35-20 right now. And I think the most important thing that we've talked about is the fact that even in that stretch without Jokic and without Valanciunas backing him up, how they were still able to get a lot of key wins to really keep themselves in the mix. Because I believe even myself, I thought that was going to be. A huge tank for them where they were going to be struggling to stay in the mix. So the fact that they were able to show their depth and show their prowess there was really, really impressive. So final thing for you, the All-Star break in the NBA is coming up in just a couple of days, and it seems like each year the All-Star game just has a lot of mixed reactions. What are your thoughts on the game? What are your thoughts on this All-Star break as a whole?
Well, I love the break. I mean, it's great for the players.
Of course.
And we're at the point in time now, the majority of players, unless you're named to the All-Star team or in one of the events, the majority of them are completely happy not going. Because I've had a number of guys be invited out there as NBA veterans to partake in different parties or to speak at different events. And it's a money-making opportunity. But a lot of them just say, look, I want to take this downtime and completely remove myself from NBA basketball for a long weekend, be with their loved ones, with their families, not doing anything. And mentally, it's much needed. Physically, obviously, it's much needed. So, I don't know. My whole thought on the All-Star weekend, I appreciate the fact that the league is trying to continue to be creative and coming up with ways to attract an audience. And now they're doing this 3-team round robin of 4 12-minute games between 2 U.S. teams and the world team. For me, as a fan, that doesn't get me super excited any more than a regular All-Star game does.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, you just want to see the best players play.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the format. I think that's what matters to fans. In the dunk contest, it just continues to go downhill because they never attract the top dunkers in the NBA. And you can look at this year's participants. Probably the average NBA fan has maybe heard of 1 or 2 of those 4.
Right.
I just think that it continues to kind of disappoint as we move forward. I don't have the answer of how we resolve that or the lack of attraction. But I just think it's exciting to see these players play on Sunday. I know I'll be tuning in, but I don't necessarily get excited about it anymore so that I would any other point in the season.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment. I mean, that's kind of that's the whole point. You want to see the top players in the league go out and compete, and it just seems like it turns into just a scoring fest where defense is out the window, and we just see a lot of offensive being played. But that's all the time we have this week, Andy. It's always such a joy talking with you. Like I said, I wish we just had a whole week because there's always so much NBA news to talk with you about. But we will be back with you next week. I believe Dave will actually be back next week, so you'll be talking with him. But until then, you have a good one, my friend.
Take care, guys. Have a good weekend.
All right, you as well. That is our man, Andy Schiffman. He is our agent, and he is a really good agent. On the other side, we're going to quickly take a break because we have a lot to talk with Jonah Dillon about and barely any time to do it. So stick around. You're listening to Wallow and Friends.
You have opinions?
I think it's over.
Of course you do.
I don't think it's that simple.
Everyone does.
I got all the answers.
Hit us up on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line at 360-8255.
This Valentine's Day, skip the expected and give something that truly lasts. Time to slow down, recharge, and feel cared for. A Gold Salon Spa gift card is effortless, thoughtful, and always the right choice. Opening the door to calm moments, confidence-boosting care, and everyday luxury that goes well beyond February 14th. Because the most meaningful gifts aren't things. They're how you make someone feel. Gould's gift cards are available online or in store. Gould's, a legacy of style, care, and community since 1932.
Hi, fellas. Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, and I hope that you're aware that Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and you can't be dawdling along waiting till the last minute to find her something wonderful that will make her happy. At Russell Brothers, we've been specializing in happy for 5 decades now, helping men show their ladies how very much they care. And taking good care of your favorite girl is what Valentine's Day is all about. Come visit us at Russell Brothers, see the breathtaking jewelry, and know that you're going to walk out the door with a gift she'll be proud of, and you'll also find out what makes Russell Brothers Jewelers so special. So come look at our quality, see our value and beauty, and experience our service. Come visit us at Russell Brothers Jewelers. Let us help you put happy on her face on February the 14th. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins. We'd love to help you find the jewelry that she wants.
Join NFL and Ole Miss football legend Archie Manning for an evening of inspiring stories on leadership, perseverance, and greatness. Don't miss Archie Manning at the Heindel Center in Senatobia, Mississippi on Friday, February 20th. Tickets are on sale now at heindelcenter.org. Now back to Wallow and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back into Wallow and Friends. We've got a couple minutes left here in our final segment, so we're going to waste no time and get right into it with Jonah Dillon. A lot to talk about with him. Jonah's kind of got his feet dipped in just about everything considering Memphis athletics when it comes to right now. So real quick, Jonah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on last night's game. Tiger basketball comes up short against North Texas. What is that you saw from this game that led to ultimately the Tigers being unsuccessful in their outing last night?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of just got ground down, especially in the second half. And just never really, they just couldn't really get over that hump, which has obviously been a theme throughout the season. It feels like now, looking through a lot of these losses, especially in conference play, obviously playing on the road is a huge issue. And again, when you're in these close games and you need something, against UAB, they figured out a way. Obviously, Sincere Parker kind of dragged them to that win. But in these other games that you've seen them play on the road, they kind of get ground down the stretch, and they don't have enough at that moment in the late in the second half to kind of get things back on track, especially when it's a close game. And even against these teams that are kind of middle of the pack, North Texas coming in really close to the bottom of the pack in the conference, the games kind of look the same. And I think this game just feels like, it doesn't feel like this game was special in any way, which I think is bad, obviously, when you look at the season as a whole, because this is the kind of game going into the season you would have expected Memphis would be able to win pretty easily.
Yeah. And I think, too, Darian and I were talking about this earlier, is the fact that one of the biggest differentials in that game was seeing how many times North Texas went to that free throw line. Of course, a lot of that was in crunch time where it was a lot of fouling, trying to slow down the game. But 41 times to the free throw line as compared to the Memphis Tigers, who only went 15 times. I mean, this has been a common theme that we've seen all throughout multiple games, is how much different our opponents are getting up to the free throw line. I mean, what needs to be done differently here for this team? I know Penny had a lot of thoughts of what he was saying, that the bigs need to be playing stronger and tougher, and how there needs to be more fight in this team. What would be your fair assessment of where this Tigers basketball team is right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously, like, the fouling has been an issue all season. That's been a thing, and it's a lot of the fouls. You can just go through all these games where people are fouling out, and a lot of these fouls, especially early on, are just somebody is hedging a screen at half court and bumps somebody for no reason, or someone grabs somebody after they get a rebound. Like, a lot of these fouls are just things that are not helping you in any way. It's not somebody trying to make a play at the basket. It's just like, mental mistakes, basically. And that kind of gets into the broader picture of, like, what's going on with this team, which is, like, they just consistently don't have a way to close out these games. They don't have a thing they go to, and they can't put together, like, a win streak where it feels like everything is going well. Every time they win a couple games, it feels like it goes right back to whatever the problem had been before then. And it's really hard to, at this point in the season, with suddenly it's getting close to March, it's hard to bank on this team doing anything specifically.
Yeah.
And that makes it really tough when you look at, like, the conference tournament. Like, I don't know how confident you can be that this team is going to go in there and be able to win 2 or 3 games in a row.
Yeah, if you were to sum up this Tiger basketball team in one word, what word would you use?
I feel like inconsistent, because
that's exactly what I said earlier.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Great minds. I mean, I feel like the thing for me is, on an individual level, you look at all the players on the team, and if you go game by game, it's like, how many times do you get the same level of performance from these players game to game? Now, Doug McDaniel was kind of the one guy early in the season, while everybody else was. You're talking about a guy plays 20 minutes and he looks like they should never take the guy out of the lineup, and then the next game it's like, why is this guy on the floor? And that was happening basically every game early in the season.
Yeah.
If you go through every game, there's just not enough times where you're getting the same level of effort, the same level of performance from these guys, and that obviously makes it really hard game to game to kind of gauge what to do, or how to, should this guy get more shots, should this guy get more shots, and you're seeing it play out with the way that they kind of just fail to execute down the stretch in these games.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Doug McDaniel, because after the game, I know Doug had said that he felt like he let his team down, and I mean, for Doug McDaniel to be the top scorer of this team and only walk away with that game from 6 points, are we just seeing a little bit of a valley in his game, or is something more at play going on with Doug McDaniel? Because we need a guy like him to perform at the top level night in and night out.
Yeah, I think his role was tweaked a little bit. You heard Penny talking about it after that game, Wichita State game, where he kind of got injured and they found something else with how to play without him, and then he kind of tweaked his role a little bit. It kind of goes back to what I was saying. I mean, early in the season, he was the only guy, really, who consistently was kind of giving you the same level of performance. You've seen, like you said, a little bit of a valley in terms of what you're getting there, but ultimately, like, you can't expect the guy to get every game and drag you to whatever you need to be competitive, and so it's got to be other guys, but like, goes back. I mean, at this point in the season, how can you really expect that things are just going to change, right? Because we've seen it so many times, what's going on with this team and why it's not working.
Yeah, real quick for you, Jonah, because we're about out of time here, and that is mine and Darian's fault for talking a lot about football and other things earlier on in the show. But just real quick, I know that you tweeted out a few days ago that Chris Adams and Travis Burke, both offensive tackles for the Memphis football team, have been invited to the NFL Scouting Combine. How big is this, not just for them, but for the Memphis football team going forward?
Yeah, definitely cool for Memphis to have a couple guys going to the Combine. Chris Adams is someone who's been kind of at the top of a lot of drafts, at least in terms of the Memphis players. He's been the guy, I think, going back to the offseason, if you had said who's the guy who's kind of has the most buzz, it would be Chris Adams, consistent starter, left tackle, obviously, team captain. Travis Burke is really interesting because he's 6'9", right, which is crazy for anybody.
incredible.
But for an offensive tackle, you just look at him out there. And so I think that's going to turn a lot of people's heads at the Combine. I'll be interested to see how those guys kind of get on as they go through that process, and then obviously get closer to the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to be an exciting time. We'll definitely keep an ear to the ground and keep looking at you. You can follow Jonah Dillon at the Jonah Dillon on Twitter to get all the latest when it comes to Tiger basketball, Memphis Grizzlies basketball, and Tiger football. He is the commercial appeal beat writer for him. But Jonah, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. Hopefully, next time we talk, we'll have a little bit more time. I'll do better on my scheduling and timing up things so that we can talk with you longer. But until then, my friend, you have a good one. All right.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks for having me.
All right. That is our man, Jonah Dillon. We are out of time. Don't go anywhere. Happy Hour with Johnny Radio is next. Not Happy Time. It's going to be Happy Hour with Johnny Radio. He'll take you with all the things that we were not able to get to. And as always, my friends, it's going to be a good day.